Greetings, my fellow YouTubers. I am here to make a quick video because most of us are in lockdown somewhere in the world. And since we don't have much else to do, I thought I'd give you a quick tour of my garden and my orchards and my mini vineyard. So, this is 3 of 5 grapevines I've got on property. We've got a flame seedless, which is an eating grape. We have a blueberry grape, which I've never had, but this is the first year it's putting on some fruit. And this is a Concord grape. This poor guy is a moon glow pear. It keeps getting fire blight, which is a fungal disease, and you've got to cut that piece off and burn it. At this point, he is coming back, but I had to trim off even more this season. Over here is something extraordinary. This is a jujube. Now, I think many of you out there are saying, what's a jujube? Well, a jujube is a Chinese apple/date thing. It's a tree that will live for 1,000 years, and it produces a small apple-looking fruit, about maybe a ping pong ball to a racquetball size. There's Lee and there's Lang, and there's hundreds of other types. But this particular one is a Shanks Lee jujube. And what's novel about these is they have really high sugar content, often around 25 to 35% sugar. If you pick one when it's ripe and you put it on your counter and you leave it there for 6 months, it will shrivel into a date and it won't go bad. So you can eat them fresh where they're crunchy like an apple, but they're not juicy like an apple, they're kind of dry. Or you can eat them as a date where they're really concentrated flavor and they're chewy like a date. This guy has put on almost 3 feet of growth in the last few weeks. This tree here is a pluot. If you don't know what a pluot is around, it's 5/8 apricot and 3/8 plum. It's a bred tree. It takes a long time to breed these. This happens to have 5 grafts on it. I won't get into the nuance of grafting. I like to do my own grafting. But I've got a Flavor King, a Flavor Queen, a Dapple Dandy, an Emerald Drop, and I think I've got a Flavor Supreme on there as well. So Flavor King is award-winning for flavor. The Flavor Supreme is the best of all the pluots. They just don't do well here in Texas. I'm not sure why. I suspect it's because we have in central Texas we have a lot of limestone in the ground. My father's orchard in California produces these. They're wonderful. This is a Florida King peach. It produces early in the season. Unfortunately, we had a late freeze, so I lost all the peaches on that tree. Over here, I think this is a Molly's Delicious. Yes. This is a Molly's Delicious apple. And over here is a Arctic Star nectarine. It also lost all the nectarines in the freeze, the late freeze we had. But this is an award-winning peach, nectarine. I typically don't just plant whatever tree you can find at Home Depot because they're often not very good. This is a Dapple Dandy pluot. You can see the pluot right there, if it'll focus. it's going to grow into it looks like a plum. And your worst pluots are better than your best plums. You can often find them in the store. They sometimes sell them as dinosaur eggs. Oh, and right behind us, let's turn around. This is a fig tree next to a pecan tree. It'll take a while for those to grow. He keeps getting knocked back by the cold. He's about 3 years old. In fact, most of these trees here are about 3 or 4 years old. I put them in because I have bees. I mean, why not? This is a June gold peach. It actually has some peaches. Unfortunately, most of the peaches have been infected by a bug, a plum curculio. It makes a little seagull mark on, a tiny seagull prick on the fruit, and it puts a worm inside that ruins the fruit. And this has been a terrible year for it. So it's okay that I lost all those fruits to the cold. If I hadn't, they would have been lost to the plum curculio. Now, I'll get to that in a moment. This is a fig. There are figs and there are figs. Some of the best figs in the world are the Violet de Bordeaux, Ronde de Bordeaux, Grenache to some people. This is considered to be the best in the world. This is a Black Madeira. It is ranked number 1. Some people consider it an 11 on a scale of 1 to 10 in flavor. I have not had one yet, so these are new cuttings for me, and we'll see how they do. This is the main tomato patch. I have some carrots and onions and garlic in here. My dad grows really, really big tomatoes. He was an agronomy major on top of being an electrical engineer. And he grows tomatoes that get to be 8 feet tall. Tomato plants that are 8 feet tall. They're huge. And so going by what he does, I copy it and I can get them about 6 or 7 feet tall. I just don't have the same ground he's got in California. And the white stuff on there is just it's an organic powder. It keeps the snails off of it. This is the onion patch and some carrots. The dog unfortunately likes to dig in that, so that's a problem. Over here is the sweetest peach tree you can find. This is a Saturn peach tree. I don't know if you can actually focus this, if it's going to let you. No, let's... No, alright. So that's a squished, there we go. It's a squished peach. So it's like a round peach that somebody just squished it flat. And it's so short sometimes, the peach pit sticks out to the top and the bottom. But it's a white peach inside, and it's very, very sweet. It doesn't have the same acids as a yellow peach, so it doesn't have an intense flavor. It just has strong sugar. Behind us, aside from a hackberry that I should really cut back, this is another apple tree. The variety I have forgotten. It's on a label somewhere. It needs another couple of years before it produces. Over here is a wonderful orange tree for Central Texas. This is an Arctic freeze, I believe. It was bred by a botanist in San Antonio. It is designed to handle down to 10 degrees Fahrenheit. So it will not freeze and die. If it does freeze down to the roots, it will come back true because it's not a grafted tree. In fact, let's look for some oranges. There's some oranges right there. Tiny, they're about the size of marbles. Let's mosey on up to what you recognize. This is my home orchard. I have some orange netting around here to keep the dog out so he would learn not to mess with the bees. They've been doing pretty good this year. These are swarm traps that are spare, those 3, and that's a split that did not survive into spring. So I will probably need to split him again. And let's mosey back to the Abyssinia olive tree. So the olive tree that can handle the most cold is the Abyssinia. And that's what will grow in central Texas. This is 4 years old, I think. How tall is that? I'm going to say that's 12 feet, maybe 14. And you can see, if you can focus, yes, those tiny olives right there at my fingertips. And this year we're going to get a pretty decent crop, maybe 2 gallons, I'm hoping. And behind us, you can recognize right my fingertip, the swarm trap right there. Over here is another fig. This is a neighbor's fig, and it's a pretty good fig. It makes racquetball-sized figs, pretty big ones. It's not a brown turkey, which is a low-brow fig to us, figgies, but it produces a white fig, not a dark purple fig. It produces a white fig, and it produces some brebbas as well. Brebbas are the early spring figs that are the figs that did not ripen last year. They ripen early in the season, and then another batch will be ripening sometime in August. And behind that we have another apple tree. I've got to go dig up the tag on this one. He's down there somewhere. He's not doing too well, but I had to cut some more opening for him to grow. If you notice, I've got just undergrowth here, and this is open terrain. We divided the yard into Zone 1, Zone 2, and Zone 3. So the mowed area is Zone 1. The unmowed area over there is Zone 2. And I've put in swales here. Swales, what are swales? Swales are a berm of earth with a ditch dug on the uphill side. The purpose is to catch water. I'm on 15-degree slope, right? So we were getting erosion when we first bought the property. So I put in a series of 1, 2, 3 swales. Those 3 swales will let water collect and then sink in, and it keeps the water on premises. So I have more water than my neighbors do effectively, because theirs just runs off into the drainage and onto the street. So I try to preserve what I can, and that gives me more water. I also capture water in rain storage, which I'll show that in another video if people want to see it. Anyway, I will stop this here. I wish everyone a happy lockdown. It is a time where you can achieve self-improvement if you so wish. It is a stressful time. There's a lot of people I know who are stressed about money and their jobs and where it's going. And I will address those things in another video of where I think things are going. I will end this by saying I had the luxury of being a forecaster, and I was assigned to a team to forecast a virus coming out of Wuhan. I was assigned to it February 9th. So I saw COVID coming a month before it really made the news. and I have some insight as to where I think it's going and what's going to happen. But we can address that next time, because this video is over. So I bid you adieu, and I will see you next video.